Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Me First Morning. I am your host, Patricia Romero Wolfson. I'm an intuitive coach, an energy practitioner, and a life strategist. And I am here to help you live your best life, no matter what is happening, because nobody knows what's happening. So I'm here to just help you practice connecting with yourself and getting to know yourself and loving yourself so that you can move forward in a way that feels good to you. Because we may not know what is happening outside of us, but it's very important to stay connected with what is happening inside of us, because that is where we can begin the healing. And healing is an inside out job. You got to heal on the inside, and then that healing, that love, that compassion, that kindness, that evolution, that then spills out of you and onto others, onto your friends and family, onto your community. And that love just flows when you've cleared all of the resistance and the blocks that you have inside of you to that loving, healing energy. All right. And it's not easy, and it's not simple, and it's not just like a little snap of the fingers. I'm not a guru as much as I'm an energy practitioner. I'm not just going to be like, boom, it's gone. Okay. This is work you have to do. But I am someone who will sit here, hold your hand, and support you through it as you do what's important for you to do in order for you start to get yourself out of that stuck or stagnant or overwhelmed feeling. Whatever it is that you're facing, whatever struggles that you're facing, you can get through it one step at a time. And I'm here to help you because it's better together. Okay, so I actually just realized that I don't think, yeah, I did not send my email. So I'm going to do that right now. Thanks very much for being patient while I send my email to my list to let them know that I'm doing a live. Okay, there we go. See, do things on the fly. In the meantime, we are going to start our ritual together because I want to get started and get right to our lessons. Okay, because the reason is, if you see me looking, I'm just like setting things up here. Um, I I want to help you through this because it's important, right? Last week, if you watched the show, I did talk about that I have a program or a workshop that I'm going to do at some point, but I'm actually going to share the workshop with you here. If you attend, if you watch me first mornings, this week and next week, because it's going to take 2 weeks to cover, we are going to actually cover everything that I do in the workshop. It's a 7 episode series, and we are going to go through basically the workshop together, one section at a time, right? Or one step at a time, because it's 7 steps to emotional healing, right? Healing emotional wounds. I've called this workshop many different things, 7 steps to healing your triggers. But the word trigger can be misinterpreted or misused in the sense of, depending on what context you're using it. And I don't want to use it inappropriately. It is used in trauma informed therapy. I am not a trauma informed therapist, but I am here to support you through the things that activate your emotional state. And that's what I use when I say something that triggers you. It is something that activates your emotional state in a way that you're like, wow, I am activated. And normally we talk about this as a negative activation, right? Where it's like negative feelings, where something that happens that makes us angry or sad or jealous or elicits some sort of negative response or perceived negative response. And that's what I want to help you with, because these perceived negative responses, it is just information, right? Is it information from your body telling you that something does not sit with you, that something does not feel right, that something is out of alignment. And I want to try and get away from the judgment of these things I want you to get away from the judgment of your feelings, the judgment of the experiences themselves, and simply start to approach it from an informational perspective. What information am I getting from this experience? And what is that information informing me of? And how can I use that information to shift or change my trajectory? What can I do with that information so that I can make a different decision, different choices, or take different actions moving forward when I'm dealing with this same person, situation, or trigger? Okay, so that is what my focus is for this week, with the exception of the new moon on the 25th. I think I will do a new moon card pull. But this week and next week, we're going to be focusing on this 7 episode series of how to heal your emotional wounds in 7 steps. And today we're talking about step 1, which is naming it. Okay, which is like literally the awareness of what it is that you're feeling. So we're going to talk about that more later. And right now, we're going to do our little warm up together, our morning ritual. And I realized that I did not bring candles with me, so I'm going to light a little incense instead, just to represent the start of this ritual for us, so that we can, I like to do it as a ritual. I like to do it sort of as a sacred step. Ooh, here we go. There we go. Some incense for you. I'm going to put this in my little incense holder. There we go. Okay. There's sand in here, but oh shoot. All right, we'll try it this way. Good. Try not to burn my tarot cards that are sitting at the edge of the table. Okay. All right. So let's go. We're going to take 3 deep breaths together. And I want them to be very intentional deep breaths. All right. And what you're going to do with these 3 deep breaths is we're going to just get into our bodies. Each breath you're going to take, I want you to literally imagine yourself bringing in all of the love, light, and life force energy that the universe has to offer, and bring it in. Just bring it into your body. And then I want you to hold. And while you're holding, I want you to allow that beautiful life force energy to just continue throughout your whole body, covering every inch of your body and just dissolving and dissipating any stuck or stagnant energy that no longer serves you. And with your exhale, you are going to release it. And we're just going to set the intention that Mother Nature is going to transmute that energy into something productive and beautiful, just as when we breathe out oxygen, the trees, when we breathe out our CO, not the oxygen, the carbon dioxide, the trees take that in, they release oxygen, which we take in, and that exchange is, part of the ecosystem and what keeps us all working and moving, right? So the things that are no good to us are probably good for something out there in nature. So that's why we release it, so it can be transmuted and used appropriately, okay? And we're going to do that together right now. Like I said, 3 deep breaths. Here we go. Deep breath number 1. And hold. And release. Okay. We're going to take another deep breath. I'm stretching while I do it because I'm really sore today. Okay, here we go. Another deep breath in and hold. And release. Okay, and the last one, really make it count. We are going to just take a deep, beautiful deep breath, increasing our capacity to receive life force energy and love and all the beautiful things in the world. We're going to just bring it into our bodies and just let it be, let it sit, let it dissolve and dissipate everything, and then just get rid of what doesn't serve us. Okay, last one. Here we go. Hold. And release. Okay, now we do a little stretching, okay, because we want to release the tension, right? We want our body to feel the flow, right? Like any stuck or stagnant parts of our body blocks the flow of energy. And we don't want to block the flow of energy. We want energy to keep moving, right? You know what they say, that the body keeps the score. So anything that we have stopped, that we have stuffed into our body is just sitting there and just festering, okay? And we want to get rid of it. We want to slowly dissolve it. We want to slowly release it. I mean, we can do it quickly too, but I don't really know how to do that. I mean, maybe a couple of good energy sessions or something, some constellation work. I don't know, something, right? So we do a little stretching and then we shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Okay, 11:11 people, make a wish, as my children say. Okay, so here we go. While it is 11:11, let us call in for our spiritual support team to help us. You can do it in whatever way feels good to you based on your spiritual beliefs. I will say my prayer, and you are welcome to join me. Divine Mother, Infinite Father, Creator, Ascended Masters, Archangels, Spirit Guides, Ancestors, and all beings of 100% pure white light, allow me to be a clear and open channel of your light and love without hesitation or ego. May the highest vibration of love and light connect with my higher self and release any and all things that no longer serve me. I ask that Saint Germain and his infinitely powerful violet flame burn away the things that no longer serve myself or humanity and hold us back from our divine existence. Thank you, thank you, thank you for helping us set an intention that is in alignment with our highest good for the highest and greatest good of all. Thank you for showing us all the signs and synchronicities in everything around us, in nature, in music, in movies, in the messages that I say, in the cards that I pull, and the words of everyone around us today and always. I appreciate you, I serve you, and I'm grateful for any wisdom that you may have for me or the collective. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it, and so it is. Whew, all right. So, while you think about your intention for the day, I want to remind you to go ahead and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and ding that little notification bell so that you know when I'm going live, which is usually in the mornings, Monday through Friday. Also, if you would like a personal reading or a strategy session or a couples reading or session, my scheduler is open. The link is in the description. Go ahead and you can book that for yourself. And don't forget to download your guide, your free guide to transformation. That link is in the description as well. It'll give you some tips and pointers on how to find your GPS word and how to calibrate your energy. Just little things that you can use, little hacks for your energy. Feel free to download it if you haven't already. Okay, so let's begin, right? So I want to talk about deep. I don't want to talk about deep inner wounds. I mean, yeah, we are going to talk about inner wounds and maybe deep inner wounds from our childhood. Um, and it may or may not involve trauma, really deep trauma. Now, trauma is simply can be described as, you know, something occurring that is different than what we expect, especially as children, that can create trauma, right? Now, obviously, there's different levels of trauma. And if you are experiencing deep trauma, if you have really had a lot of trauma in your life, physical abuse, sexual abuse, anything like that, then please, I urge you to reach out to a professional, go to therapy or counseling, and have someone speak to you and hold your hand through whatever you need to discuss. And please look for a trauma informed therapist. I am not a trauma informed therapist. I am happy to help you and support you through day to day tasks, through helping you practice things that slowly will shift your day to day trajectory. But if you have deep wounds, I guess this is my disclaimer. If you have had significant trauma, especially sexual or physical abuse, I mean, definitely mental abuse too, but trauma that has scarred you or trauma that you have not even dealt with yet, then please, I suggest that you find a trauma-informed therapist to help you through that, because it is important that you address it and release it, okay? Today is going to be talking about looking at things and naming them, having the awareness of what is going on with you. And if this can help you in any way, then I am very grateful for that. If this doesn't help you, that's okay too. Maybe there are other things. This is simply my way of taking you through some simple steps that you can try and maybe alleviate some of that stress or overwhelm. And maybe you can start to slowly chip away at your reactions, right? At the way that your reactions affect your life negatively. Because sometimes if we don't practice shifting our reactions to things, right, then we live with the consequences of that if we're always like, fighting with somebody, or if we're always doing things over and over again, and we see that those results are not giving us um, or not really opening the road for us to heal or improve. If we find that we're constantly doing the same thing over and over again, and we have these pattern repetitions, like these repetitive patterns in our life, right? Or that you get to a certain point in your life and then you get there and like you stop because for some reason you can't get past that. That is what this work is meant to help. This work is meant to chip away slowly at the individual situations that happen that may trigger you and how to address them. Okay, because what happens is that these like deep wounds will show up in ways that prevent us from taking action, even if that action is in our best interest. When they talk about self-sabotage, and if you guys watch my episode on self-sabotage and self-protection, you know that I'm not a big fan of the term self-sabotage. I believe in self-protection, right? So what we need to do is we need to address these triggers in such a way that we can take away the fear that happens, that is activated within us when this trigger shows up. And we need to create safety around that trigger. We need to change our perspective so that we can make a different choice, so that we can dissolve the blocks that are preventing us from making different choices and from breaking those patterns, right? So I'm going to give you some journal prompts and we're going to talk about it a little bit, like I said, for the next week. And if you have any questions or if you want one-on-one support, you know where to find me. The link is in the description. All right. So as I said, in the context of trigger, when I talk about being triggered, I'm talking about an event or a person who activates a strong emotional response in you, as I said at the beginning, right? That is typically perceived as negative, right? Because those are the ones that we need to address. Of course, you could be triggered and, by something amazing, right? Like a song comes on, you instantly start crying, but you're not sad. It just brings you back to a moment in time that's beautiful and the memory is cathartic for you. Well, that is a trigger too, but we don't usually talk about the triggers that give us a strong emotional response that's favorable, right? That's either cathartic or joyful, or, that brings us ecstasy. Like we don't talk about those. So, because we don't need help with those, because we want more of those, but we may not want as many of the triggers that create a perceived negative emotional response, right? Emotions are not positive or negative. It is our perception of them, it is our judgment of them that makes them negative. But because sometimes those emotional responses that we typically see as negative can affect other people, they can negatively impact the people in our lives because of our reaction. Well, that's why we're going to address them, because we don't want to negatively affect ourselves nor anyone else, right? We don't want to cause harm to ourselves or to others. And so this is why we approach this in this way. Okay, so the first step is knowing where to begin. Okay, like how do you begin? So the first thing is like there's an event, there's something that happens. Okay, it's a person or a situation that triggers. Okay, this incense was not a great idea because it's now in my face. All right, I moved it. Okay, so something happens and it triggers a feeling. Okay, anger, sadness, jealousy, envy. Okay, or something happens and it triggers an external emotional response on your part, right? Immediately becoming defensive or having an outburst or a meltdown. I'm guilty of those. Over explaining, also perceived as negative, right? Another good indicator to something that you may want to address is pay attention to your inner critic, right? Maybe it's not something that's happening outside of you, but whatever has triggered you in your head, all of a sudden it activated your inner critic and it won't shut up talking to you about how terrible you are, or what bad decisions you make, or whatever it is, right? The topic of criticism is most likely a trigger for you. So that is something that we want to address as well in this, okay, when I talk about triggers. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is name the emotion you're feeling, right? Whatever happens, that trigger happens, something, like someone calls you a name, um, you find out that you weren't invited to someone's big event, like, and you thought you were close but you weren't even invited. What is the emotion you're feeling? So take a moment and just feel it, and feel like, what is it that you're feeling? I know this seems silly, right? But we do this with little kids when we're trying to teach them emotional intelligence, right? We get a little um, paper with like the little emojis on it. It's like, pick what you're feeling, and there's like sad, depressed, anxious. There's like all sorts of emotions to feel from. And listen, I say this and I use that specifically because generationally, previous generations before, I would say, Gen Z right now, I would say, millennials and before, we were not exactly taught to navigate our emotions. We were not taught about emotional regulation. We were not taught that all emotions are okay. We were taught to stuff your emotions down, to not make other people uncomfortable with your emotions, and basically don't deal with them. If it's something that's going to make you emotional, don't say anything, or you're going to be labeled hysterical or crazy or whatever, right? So, this is why this is such an important part of the process. You have to name the emotions. What is it that you're feeling? You need to validate it. I talk about this a lot on this show. Okay. Energy needs to be addressed, right? Whether it's good or bad or indifferent. It's not usually indifferent, but okay. But it needs to be addressed. It needs to be labeled. It wants to be validated, right? And you have to like say, hey, I see you. You're pissed. You are angry, okay? And you need to acknowledge that, right? Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you jealous? Are you envious? Kind of the same thing, but okay, whatever, go with me. And then I want you to write it down. Okay? Now, I will always say, like, if you don't want to write it down, that's okay. And I still think that. But I will say that journaling this process, there is something that happens in terms of processing our emotions, in terms of learning, when we actually put pen to paper, right? So I would urge you to actually do this as a journaling exercise, or it doesn't have to be like a journaling exercise, but just jot down the things that come up for you, right? So think of a situation right now, something that has happened in your life, that triggered you, whether it was something recent, something in the past, whatever. The first thing that comes up for you, great. Okay. Now, I want you to just imagine that situation. And then I want you to feel whatever you're feeling. And I want you to name it. Name it, the emotion that makes most sense to you, that resonates with you, whatever. Grab one of those, emotional um, display emojis, right? So that you can really get specific if you want. But I want you to name it. Okay. And I want you to write it down. And now I want you to sit. Okay. I want you to really sit, and I want you to feel where that emotion sits in your body. Okay. Whatever it is that happened to you at whatever stage of your life, I want you to feel where it is. So just take a deep breath. And I really want you to feel where that emotion sits. Is it in your chest? Is it a tightness? Is it in your back? Is it tension? Is it in your stomach? Does it feel like knots? Do you feel it all over? Is it kind of sticky? Do you feel like a web of grossness? What do you feel? Okay, write it down. I want you to fully feel, acknowledge, and understand what is happening in your body. We have been taught over and over and over again to disconnect from our feelings, to disconnect from our body, to not listen. How many times as a kid you're like, oh, this hurts, you're fine, shut up, which is okay, right? Because the purpose, this is not about blaming past generations and not about blaming our parents, right? Because the purpose of them saying, you're fine, that's okay, right? Which I even said at the beginning of parenting, until I realized that what the child needed was acknowledgement of their pain, and then you move on. Okay. Um, we were taught to just ignore what we were feeling. You're not feeling anything. That's not pain. You don't know pain. You know, you're sad. What are you sad for? I'll give you something to be sad about, right? All of those things were systematic conditioning. It was systematic conditioning to ignore our body's signals, to ignore our emotions, to ignore our internal cues, which is connected to our instinct. Does anybody wonder why nobody seems to be connected to their higher selves or their instinct? Because it was trained out of us. Okay. And so that's why it's so important to practice getting into your body, feeling your feelings, and acknowledging, oh, I don't like this. Why don't I like this? Because it feels heavy, because it feels gross, because it doesn't feel connected to who I am. It feels like it doesn't belong in my body. Oh, you're right. It doesn't belong in my body. And that is your job today. Like literally, I'm going to keep it as simple as this. Your only job today is for you to sit down when you have some time, maybe after the show is over, and I want you to connect with your body. I want you to think about a trigger or an event or a person that elicits or activates some sort of external response or even an internal response that feels negative, right? That a response that you don't feel connected to, that you don't want to have over and over again. And I want you to think about it. And I want you to write down what that feeling is. And I want you to describe that feeling in as much detail as possible. And I want you to describe how it feels in your body, what it looks like, what color it is, whatever comes up to you. And honestly, this may feel silly, but it is the first step into being able to truly recognize what it is that is blocking you in this particular sense. And then I'm going to teach you how to take that awareness and then slowly transmute that energy from one that triggers you in a negative way to one that you can hold space for, right? Acknowledge and then transmute or change so that you can then make better decisions in the future, so that you can then learn from your triggers, learn from your experiences, and make different choices and take different actions so that your life can shift even just a little bit, because that trajectory matters, right? Where you end up matters. Oops. Card already popped out. Let's see. Okay, I want to get Spirit's take on this naming it. Okay, so what message can we leave, Spirit, babe? What message can we leave with the people about? Oh wait, I have chat people. Oh, hi, Dad. Sorry, I didn't have the chat on. I don't know when you said hi. I think you just said hi. Welcome to the show. Okay, so what can we do? What is the advice that Spirit has in terms of facing and naming these? Oops! Oh my God, these triggers. Come on, people. My brain. Actually, it's my fingers. I got butterfingers. Isn't that a chocolate bar? Yeah, I know. All right. Oh my God, my hands are not functioning today. Let's just do this again. All right, I just want one card. Give me one card so that I can send a beautiful message of love and hope about how to get through these triggers so that we can slowly dissolve the resistance and any blocks that are preventing us from being in complete and total alignment with our highest selves. Because if you can take action, make choices, and be in the flow of alignment with your highest self, well then, geez, anything is possible. I mean, seriously, anything is possible. And that is my job or my mission. My mission here is to hold your hand and help you slowly dissolve the resistance, dissolve the blocks and the limiting beliefs that prevent you from living your life to the fullest, that prevent you from living your authentic self, from living as your authentic self, really. Okay, one popped out. That's our little communication. 7 of discs. Look at this. How perfect. Okay. So on other tarot decks, 7 of discs is actually 7 of pentacles. And what is this? This is taking stock. This is observation. I mean, it couldn't be more perfect. And look, it's seven, which is the 7 steps that we are going to be talking about together for the next week, right? The 7 steps to healing your emotional wounds, right? And we are going to look at them one at a time. And we are going to reflect on what it is that we are doing in our lives that is keeping us stuck in um, that way, right? That is keeping us stuck, that is preventing us from moving forward, the blocks that are preventing us from living our authentic lives. All right. We are going to do that one step at a time. And this is spirit saying, like, just observe, reflect, and take stock. Because then after, what happens after the 7 of Pentacles is the 8 of Pentacles. And the 8 of Pentacles is continuing to do the work, right? 7 of Pentacles is going, what am I doing? What's not serving me? What things do I need to continue to nourish? Which actions, which fruit do I want to continue to nourish so that it continues to blossom? And what do I want to pull like the weeds? What do I want to stop nourishing because it is no longer serving the growth of my garden? That is the advice from Spirit today. That is the advice I'm going to give you today. I hope that helps. I'm going to wrap up right now, but I will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we are going to talk about step 2 in our 7 series, 7-step series, our 7-episode series. Tomorrow we are going to talk about how to validate the things that you feel. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. I hope you'll be here. As I said, if you have any questions, please reach out. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope you have an amazing day.